Hey guys, Jesse here. Welcome back to the channel. And earlier this week, I sat down with one of our private clients. Like he's a very successful investor in the real estate space, and we're working together to help him get more clients out of LinkedIn for his coaching program. So in this call, we sat down for 1 hour, and I had to remind him of something super, super important. You're a business owner, not a full-time content creator. So why did we talk about this? Right? We didn't talk much about the strategies at first, but I'm like, hey, you're spending all this time on LinkedIn, on the feed, you're commenting, you're engaging, you're trying to figure out what type of content you need to post. But let me remind you that you're a business owner first and you're just using content as a vehicle to grow your business, right? So we had an hour-long conversation on that. And in this conversation, we built him a very new strategy that easily saves him around 10 hours or so per week. So in this video, I'm going to go over the 4 steps that we talked about and the 4 steps that you can also implement in your own business. So step number 1 has to do with having an identity shift. Like I said, you're most likely watching this video, you're using content to grow your business. But that doesn't make you a full-time content creator, right? You're a business owner first or an agency owner, and you're using content to get more clients, to grow your business. So one of the first things that I encourage my client to do is to batch create content. So that means that one moment of the day, you can sit down to write content in one batch, schedule it, and quote unquote forget about it. So that's one thing that we did for our client. So the second thing that we did in terms of this creation process, like I showed him how simple it is to use AI and specifically ChatGPT to create this content for him. And this is, by the way, something that we do for all of our private clients. Like we help them build custom GPTs. So that helps them a lot with like saving time on like content creation and such. And if that sounds like something that you're interested in hearing more of, make sure to hit the link in the description, watch the quick video to see how it works and if I can potentially help you. But in terms of our client, like I said, like we reduce his time of like, okay, every day I need to think, okay, what should I post today? Later in this video, I break down the strategy that we set up for him. But it basically comes down to, okay, batch creating. It's like now just a task on his calendar. Like every Monday morning in his case, he just sits down, he writes 4 to 5 posts using ChatGPT. So it's literally like 1 hour of like content creation. He scheduled the post and he forgets about that. So that's the first thing. At the same time, I helped him set up like a system that his VA can pick up. So whereas he is still like the brains behind the content because he's of course like the business owner, he's the one that delivers the product, the service to his clients. So he has all the knowledge in his head. But at the same time, like the publishing, the engagement, the commenting, and all these things that he used to do on LinkedIn can be very much systemized and be picked up by a VA. So again, this helps him with saving so much more time. So the goal here is to, like I said, not think as a content creator, but think as a business owner. Like, how can you use content and marketing to grow your business and not get stuck in the loop of things? So it all comes down to building these systems, leveraging AI, and making sure that you run the system and the system doesn't run you. Because as a business owner, your main job, of course, is to deliver value for your clients. Usually it is to spend time on sales calls. And I would argue that doing your DMs on LinkedIn is a high leverage task. So that's something you want to do as well. But like I said, you don't want to get bogged down in creating content, engaging, commenting, and all these like less important tasks. Yeah, sure, they do serve a purpose, but at the same time, it's about the high leverage strategy thing. So that's the first thing that we helped our client with. So the second thing in terms of like, okay, how can we help him get out of the operation of content creation is to fix the funnel. So we went deep into his LinkedIn flow of things. So he was getting views, but it didn't convert into the right people. So we kind of came to the conclusion that it was one of two things. It's either like a lead nurturing process, so the people he was speaking to were not like warm enough, or it was like a mismatch in the offer he was presenting to his leads, to his prospects. So whereas lead nurturing is like an ever ongoing process, like you can always nurture your leads more and better. So it's something that we just keep continuously working on. presenting the right offer to a lead is something that we can, let's say, you fix it once and then that it works for 6 to 24 months, right? But sure, to get to the point that it works, that's different. That's a discussion for a different day. But what we did in the situation of my client is that instead of just pushing people directly into his high ticket offer, which is around like $6,000 to $7,000, we spun up a front end offer around like $400. So the goal here is not to get rich from the front end offer, but it's to get the customer, to turn the customer in a high ticket client. So that's something we did. We fixed his funnel, so now he's running that. He already had in the last 48 hours, he already had some sales conversations on that. So I'm pretty sure he will close a few clients on that front end offer very soon. And of course, the goal is then to ascend them into the high ticket offer. The other thing in terms of fixing his funnel was that I looked over his content and I saw that a lot of his content was conversion driven. So in most of his posts, he had a very salesy / conversion driven call to action. And yes, that works. However, if you do too much, the algorithm will kind of be like, not sure if this is the right way. So my advice here is to, with 20% of your content, to have a direct call to action. And with the other 80%, you just let the content do its thing. And you make sure that the content is written in a solid way, in a strategic way. Again, we help our clients with the GPT to do this. If you're interested, hit the link in the description below. But the post, if the post is good enough, the call to action is indirect in there. So the goal here, of course, is to build curiosity in what you do and what you have to offer and how you help your clients solve the big problem you have. Like, be the authority you are, instead of just chasing likes and just like getting these vanity metrics. So that was step number 2. We fixed his funnel. So in step number 3, what we did, I looked over his weekly flow of things. So like I said, he's a business owner. He's busy with growing his business, but at the same time, he has a family. So time is a scarce resource for him. So that's exactly why this whole conversation started, because I'm like, yo, you shouldn't spend so much time on LinkedIn. You definitely shouldn't spend all your time in like these low ROI tasks. That's why we need to build a better system for you. So in step number 3, what we did, we built out a weekly flow. So my client, he's very creative. He has a lot of ideas, of course, because he's been in the field so long. But he kind of struggled with wrapping his head around in terms of what should I post about when. So I just basically built him a very simple 5-day posting cadence where I'm like, hey, on day 1, on Monday, you're going to write about an outcome or a win. And that can be an outcome and a win every week. But of course, you have a different idea that you can put in there. On Tuesday, we're going to talk about a big idea. So like I said, my client, he's in real estate investment. So there are certain ideas that he talks about. So for example, he focuses attention on people in tech sales, people with a very high annual income, but people that spend a lot of money in taxes in terms of like the sales tax. So he's solving that problem by just helping them not spend so much on tax, but build passive income through real estate. So one of the big ideas that he can talk about is how you don't have to pay that much of tax if you know the right vehicle. So this is something where he educates his audience proactively and makes it easier for them to reach out to them because they understand more. So that was on Tuesday. On Wednesday, we talk more about, a pain point. So he just talks about, for example, how it's very painful that you earn a lot of money, but you have to spend equally amount of money in taxes, right? No one wants to do that. So it's a very easy way for him to just tap into that pain point. On Thursdays, he does something unique. So every Thursday he goes live on LinkedIn, where he has like a live event, like a LinkedIn Live, as it's called, where he just have a live interaction with his audience, and he uses that as a conversion mechanism. So cool. And then on Friday, what we do, we have more of like a problem post again, where he just taps into a problem or a frustration his audience has. So that's just having that set up for him just helps it very clear for him to I don't have to think about what I have to do in terms of my content. I just have to think about one outcome, one win. I have to talk about 2 problems. The life is kind of easy for him, and the other one, of course, is like the big idea. So it becomes very straightforward and very, very cyclical, because every week he can run with the same setup. And then what we do in the weekend, so on Saturdays and Sundays, no set schedule, but he likes to then have like more personal updates, or whenever he is on a podcast, he shares that. And then last but not least, number four, step number four is something that I would encourage you to do as well, because when you're active on LinkedIn and you're getting the conversations that you have, you just don't want to like let those conversations die. So doing follow-ups, like checking in with the right people, is one of the highest, if not the highest, leveraged sales activity you can do. And some of the things that people often do wrong is that they're sending like messages like, hey, checking in, or just bumping up, etc., etc. And yes, it's good to be top of mind, but at the same time, you can do so much better. You can do so much more in terms of presenting the right value to them. So what we did with our client, so like I said, he works with people that are aligned with, or sorry, focused on sales tasks. And in the US, in April, it's of course tax season, so he uses that as like a hook to restart the conversation. So he speaks to people that have a big tax sales bill, or sorry, a tax bill, and he uses that to re-engage people that have been in the DMs. Like he has to follow up, like, hey, don't be this guy. So I want to encourage you right now is that if you want to follow up with leads, with prospects in your pipeline, use something that either you work with on a different client project, like, hey, I've been working on X, Y, and Z, we got this result, I thought it would be useful for you as well, check it out here. So by following up in such a way, you're not just checking in, but you're proactively providing value, knowing or assuming that the person that you're checking in with, the person that you're following up with, has some form of interest in solving the problem that you also did for this other client. So that's where following up becomes a very organic process. So what you want to do in this follow-up process, you want to make sure that you reignite the pain, make them really understand, like, oh damn, like, yes, I'm actually like having this problem, I'm paying too much taxes, I'm having not enough lead flow on LinkedIn. Oh yeah, I need to look into a solution because it's hindering my business growth, it's hindering my personal life and all these things, right? So that was step number four. So make sure that following up is a very smart and effective process. So that's effectively how we helped our clients in terms of, yeah, getting like spending too much time in like this content treadmill and building more of a strategy for his LinkedIn game, resulting in a huge time save every week. So like I said in the beginning, if you're watching this video and you're a small business owner, or you're an agency owner, or perhaps even a coach or a consultant, remember that you're not a full-time content creator. Content is just a vehicle to get to your means. And with your means, of course, you are trying to get more leads, more clients to grow your business. And if that sounds like something you need help with, if you want to grow on LinkedIn, but you don't know really where to start, if you hit the link in the description, there's a short video on a separate page where I just explain who we help, how we help, and what kind of results you can expect. On the page, there is also the opportunity to book a call with myself. And based on that, we just see if we can help you get to the next level on LinkedIn, get more clients out of the platform, and thus grow your business. So with that being said, thanks for watching the video. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed watching this. And with that being said, I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.